Hi everyone. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in today's video, and if you end up liking it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. You can even support us more by clicking the join button below. Thank you for being here. Now let's get into the story. In an interview that felt less like a promo stop and more like a handwritten confession, Hande allowed her guard to slip in the gentlest way. She didn't deliver sound bites. She delivered a carefully held truth that she's been sheltering for years. Away from spotlights and magazine poses, she spoke in the kind of voice you use when you're making a promise to yourself, quiet, steady, and brave. The promise was motherhood, an old longing, as timeless as it is personal. She didn't dress it up with clichés, and she didn't rush it. Hande simply opened a door and invited the audience to see what she's been quietly dreaming about. When she spoke of becoming a mother, she didn't recite those familiar one-liners people learn for interviews. She traced the feeling back to childhood, as if memory itself were a thread she's been unwinding her entire life. She remembered small kitchens and soft hands, the rhythm of her family's routine, the quiet kindnesses that taught her what care looks like in motion. She remembered the instinct to protect, the thrill of being a guiding light to someone smaller, the sense that tenderness is not a weakness, but a form of wisdom. The longing came into focus not as nostalgia, but as a blueprint she carries within, a hope to build a home where responsibility is warm and love is practical. The tone of the conversation was unhurried, as though each sentence had lived inside her for years before daring to come out. She admitted that her desire to be a mother doesn't come from pressure, nor from the conveyor belt expectations women in the public eye often face. It comes from something she called her inner compass. It hasn't changed course, despite fame, despite time, despite the noise. And it's that compass that now points toward a life project that, in her words, outshines any trophy, something more lasting than applause. She also confronted a contradiction many famous women wrestle with, the tightrope walk between a public career that consumes everything and the privacy a child deserves. With calm clarity, Hande insisted that motherhood wouldn't be a surrender of her ambition but an expansion of her creative life. She talked about it not as an endpoint, or an exchange, but as a transformation, one that would require reorganizing schedules, recalibrating priorities, and saying no to certain things so she can say yes to the right ones. Her voice didn't carry drama, it carried intention. She was describing reconciliation, not sacrifice. She believes the same sensitivity that makes her work resonate can also become the gentlest strength a child could ask for. The public reaction was instant and immense. Thousands of messages flooded social media, support, admiration, and confessions from young women who recognized themselves in her careful longing. They felt seen by her caution and her courage. Yet, as always happens when a star speaks from the heart, the speculation machine revved up. Headlines began stitching her words to her love life, and suddenly everyone was asking the question, if Hande sees motherhood in her near future, what does that mean for Kerem? Were they laying foundations behind closed doors? Was a timeline already quietly penciled in? Hande chose discretion as her shield. When asked if there was a particular person she imagined by her side in this plan, she smiled, a small, mischievous smile that left more questions than answers. She said that love, when it's real, changes the way you see what's possible. It grows your imagination like morning light pushing through curtains. It lets your dreams multiply. And that was all. Friends and close sources, the type who rarely talk unless they mean it, described a woman who stepped into a calmer chapter. They spoke about how the last few years have shaped her, a movement toward stability, toward loyalty, toward the simple routines that keep a life steady even when the headlines aren't. They said she now seems to value balance as much as success, an evening that ends at home, a set that runs on time, conversations that go deeper than business. The journalist who conducted the interview noted the same evolution. Nothing about her confession felt impulsive. If anything, it sounded like something that has been ripening, a certainty pressed like a letter between the pages of her days. Those who work closely with her added another layer. Hande believes motherhood should be understood broadly and generously, not forced into a narrow mold. Being a mother, in her view, doesn't erase ambition or erase the woman she has fought to become. It's a commitment of love and responsibility that, done with patience, help, and honesty, can enrich every other role she plays, on screen and off. She spoke of challenging the script that says a woman must choose. Don't make me smaller to fit your storyline, her message seemed to say. Let me be whole. Of course, the name on everyone's lips, spoken loudly, whispered softly, was Kerem. The two of them have a history that the country knows by heart, the laughter that felt unscripted even when the cameras were rolling, the pauses when life got complicated, the teasing hints that made fans read too much into a shared glance. Their relationship has been a rhythm, sometimes close, sometimes distant, always in orbit. If Hande is thinking of a home with gentle rules and loud joy, could Kerem be the person holding the other end of that blueprint? Insiders say he hears the same music. Kerem has spoken before about family as a shelter, about how success without someone to share it with can feel like an empty room. People close to him describe a man who's more grounded than ever, a man who doesn't want to perform love, he wants to live it. And yet, both of them have learned the hard lesson: what the public loves most can also be what hurts most, once it's pulled apart for consumption. So for now, they are careful. They let their smiles do the talking, and they keep the rest tucked away where the noise can't reach it. There were philosophical notes tucked inside Hande's words, too. She reflected on maternal love as a love without calculation, a giving that asks for nothing back. In a world where everything is measured, sold, and scrolled, she spoke of an offering that restores dignity by refusing to keep score. That idea, she said, is what ties her whole feeling together. It's not a finish line, it's a practice. It's a way of living that puts tenderness at the center of the room and builds outward from there. To many who watched, the interview didn't feel like bait for headlines, it felt like a gift. Hande wasn't just handing out answers, she was starting a conversation about what matters, about how the private and the public might coexist without destroying each other. She reminded everyone that a public life doesn't cancel out a private heart. And if anything, the simple act of putting desire into words can become a form of courage. Now we come to the question that stirred the debate: does motherhood change an artist's creative path, or does it widen it? For Hande, the horizon opens. She believes that love can refill the well. That a life enriched by family can sharpen her instincts, deepen her characters, make her braver with her choices. She insists that this isn't about shrinking her career, if anything, it's about giving her artistry new rooms to explore. To her, the best roles will meet her where she's going, not where she's already been. Of course, the industry will weigh in. Schedules, scripts, commitments, these mechanics are real. But she is not naive about logistics. She just refuses to let the clock own her. If she needs to adjust the rhythm, she will. If she needs to say no to protect what matters, she can. And in that quiet determination, many women recognize themselves. The speculation refuses to sleep, and the press knows it. They draw timelines, compare sightings, read ringless fingers like tea leaves. They connect dots that may or may not belong together, because that's the game. But even they admitted something else: the tone of Hande's voice has changed. It carries resolve, not performance. Whatever happens next, wedding, baby, or simply more patience, will happen on her terms. As for Kerem, those around him say he feels the weight of this conversation without being threatened by it. He knows what it means to be with a woman who is fiercely herself. He has said, more than once, that love looks best when it lets people grow. So the rumor mill spins, yes, but behind it are two people who seem to be building something steady in a world that loves to rush. Now it's your turn to speak. Do you think a public figure's honesty about a longing as intimate as motherhood can make the journey easier, or does the scrutiny make it harder than it needs to be? Does exposure build empathy, or does it pile on pressure? Tell us what you think below. Share your story if you feel moved. At Secrets Behind the Stars, we want to hear your voice and add it to this conversation. If this story reached you, if it made you reflect, or smile, or pause for a moment, please support our work at Secrets Behind the Stars. Subscribe so you never miss our exclusive coverage, turn on notifications, and if you want to give us an extra push, click join to support the channel. Like the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and help this dialogue travel to others who, like you, are trying to understand the people behind the fame. In the end, Hande Ursul's confession wasn't a splashy headline or a calculated reveal. It felt more like a manifesto written in soft ink, a proposal to reclaim motherhood on her own terms, with freedom, responsibility, and creative strength. In a world that demands certainty from public voices, her quiet admission sounded like a small revolution. She dared to say out loud what she most desires. To love without measuring, to build a home patiently, to let that love become the foundation of everything. And if you look closely, you can see Kerem Bürsin in the margins of that manifesto, not as an answer the public can own, but as a presence that makes the dream feel more grounded. Maybe the point is not to predict their timing, but to respect the courage it takes to say, "This is who I want to be," and then live accordingly. Whatever comes next, however they write it, their story will be theirs first, ours only after they're ready to share. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye from Secrets Behind the Stars.